that out. Alright, I'm gonna do one more restart.
Street! Come on!
Don't fret, Alex. Trip's postponed. Come around the front.
Windows banging up quickly! Keep the house covered!
Mr. Bez? How is it from the east side?
Murphy, man.
Charlie? How's it over by you? Can we break?
I think it's about to get loud. We'll deal with it. We should deal with it.
Hey, Charlie! How is it?
It's John Kinney.
I think the word you got was just a trap to get us all
Hey,
together
Paul
in the
John
same
Kinney.
place. My God. It's gonna be a massacre.
It's gonna get massacred.
It's John Kinney.
Well, maybe they just want us.
No. They figure they can end the war right here in one fell swoop.
We're gonna get into war right here with
That's what they're just
5G.
about to do.
This is about to do.
John Kinney. Thank you very much,
John
Charlie.
Kinney. They brought the CIA. They brought John McCain. They brought Barack Obama. They brought Donald. I guess Donald Trump's not there. We'll see.
Charlie.
They got us surrounded, boss.
Oh, God.
They brought the Federal Reserve.
Hanging for sure now.
We gonna hang for sure.
Barney! Get Dutch up there, kid! Take a look at the firepower down here!
Take a look at the
Now, come
firepower.
on out! Real slow!
Real slow. More people come out. The bank's got you
You
surrounded.
up there, Barney?
You up there? Freedom-loving people?
Let's have some fun, Doc. Yeah, I'm here, you bastard!
One of my favorite movies. Of course, this is the scene where Billy reloads. What we gonna do? What we gonna do?
Gotta show these guys I finally met their match.
Oh, I like that part. Gotta show
Hey,
these
Pepin!
guys they finally met their match.
I see you got Charlie Crawford down there with you.
Pepin!
Yeah, we got
I see that Charlie Crawford.
Oh, my God.
Damn!
Hey, Pepin!
Hey, Pepin!
The CIA ain't with you no
Charlie
more.
Crawford ain't with you anymore.
The Federal Reserve ain't with you no more. Y'all remember that scene? That's such an important scene. We can talk about that. All right. They got the front end loader going out front, so I'm not sure how loud this is going to be. Hopefully this goes quick. How's everybody doing this one? All right. Hang on. Let me bring up this YouTube right there. Bring up the comments. What is today? Tuesday? Wednesday? I don't even know what day it is. But along with the scene from Young Guns, I refer you to Bob Marley. Bob Marley had a statement and a song. He said, I shot the sheriff, but he did not shoot the deputy. Why is that? Question, why is that? I know why. I was talking to the popo this morning. I was talking to my sheriff this morning. on, sir. My wife just said. All right, here we go. YouTube. All right, there we go. Right there. All right, boom, boom. There we go. Okay, all right, there we go. I'm gonna refer back to that scene one more time. I can't show it because we'll get in trouble. One more time.
Hey, Pippin!
I'm hearing you, Bonnie.
I see you got Charlie Crawford down there with you.
All right, so envision this. Envision we're in the house and we're surrounded. Got po people in the house, whole bunch of po people. You po, I'm po, we all po. You ain't got $1 billion in the bank, you're po. House is surrounded. All of the elites, all of the landowners, all of the bastards and their supporters, and those who want to take freedom. All got us surrounded. We're in the house, got Billy the Kid, got Julian Assange, got WikiLeaks. I know some of y'all like, well, Julian Assange is CIA. Oh, shut up. He released information nobody else did. That was important. All in the house, got the militias, got the gun rights people and the survivors, the people who all figured it out. Black Panthers, white nationalists, the ones actually fighting the machine, fighting the system, not the po people and each other. All in the house with Marley Luther King and who is it? Malcolm X and those who kind of figure out how the game works, all working together. House is on fire. Set the house on fire, boys! And you're Billy the Kid, and you figured it out. And you figured out how all of this works. You see, look outside, you look out your window, what you see? You see the CIA and FBI and MI6 and Federal Reserve. You see the police, you see a whole bunch of them outside looking out the window. And of course, you see your friends out there too. See your friends and your family, and they're all out there. They got guns too. They're like reloading the guns of the FBI and CIA. Right, Lord, and we got JFK in the house. We all in the house. Like, we want to be free. And the house is surrounded by our friends and the people who hadn't figured out how all this works yet. But we're all in the house. And you're Billy the Kid, and you figure out how this works. All you gotta do is get the right one. Stop shooting the deputy. Right? Because what did Bob say? I shot the sheriff. All you gotta do is get the right one. Charlie Crawford. I see you got Charlie. I'm gonna play the scene real quick.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch.
Now, hang on. We don't care about the whole bunch you got. Let's go back.
Hey, Pippin!
I'm hearing you, Bonnie.
I see you got Charlie Crawford down there with you.
I see you got the Federal Reserve with
Yeah,
you.
we got a whole lot.
We got a whole lot. But it doesn't really matter. If you get the right one. Root cause, not shooting the messenger. We live at a time where people just shoot the messenger. Why they get turn the notifications off? Where everybody at this morning?
Oh my God!
Oh my God! They shot the they shot the Federal Reserve. They shot Homeland Security. They shot the entire federal government. They shot the enemy. And people don't seem to figure that out, that you need to stop shooting the messenger.
Hey, Pippin! Charlie Crawford ain't with you anymore.
The only thing I hadn't figured out the Trump thing yet. I haven't figured out the Trump thing. I don't, uh-oh, my green screen is messed up. I haven't figured out the Trump thing. Trump's, his story's not written yet. You know, people, and I got friends that are trying to convince me he's fighting the deep state. I'm not really seeing that. I see good things here and bad things. I hadn't figured that out, but the Obama story's already written. The Bush story's already written. The Clinton story's already written. All those stories are already written. We already know that they all serve the big corporate state. All right, how's everybody doing this morning? So what does that mean to you? Bob Marley shot the sheriff, but he didn't shoot the deputy. So I was in a good conversation. I was talking to my sheriff this morning. We had a good little talk this morning. Good boy, young man. I think I'm getting old because the police getting young. I didn't know whether to talk to him or change his diaper. You need me change your diaper? He's a young guy, good guy though, real good guy. I'm messing around. Sometimes you When you realize you're getting up there in age and you look at everybody else who's a professional and they're like half your age or less, it's like, wow, the world is moving quick. Are you sure you're old enough to be my sheriff? Are you sure? You got, why? I see you got all this equipment. They got it was like $200 or $200,000 worth of equipment on the belt. How's that saying go? And all badges and equipment and radios and sensors and monitors and cameras, and I don't even know how the boy walk. He's standing up, get out the car. I was like, can you get out the car? You need some help. He got out the car. And he just looked young. Got a shotgun in the center, assault rifle in the back, and I'm looking in there like, man, you got a lot of equipment. He had no pacifier though, but all right, anyways. Good guys. You know, I was talking to him for a minute, and he said, yeah, I'm just out here doing my job, and people want to shoot the messenger. I said, yeah, they do. They do. And I told the police, I told the popo about y'all. I told the popo about everybody on the internet. I said, listen, don't worry about it. They watch TV. TV make it stupid. It's the boob tube. And they in this position where they want to shoot the messenger. So anyway, how's everybody doing this morning? All right, here we go. Root cause the problem. Find the root cause and shoot the root cause. Don't find the weakest person surrounding the house. This is the scene I'm talking about. Don't find the weakest person. Don't find the police and the military, the peons on the bottom because you're a coward. Find the one that's the source of the problem. Like, get as low to the source, the root of what the problem is, and that's where you want to fire. Stop firing the messenger. Stop hitting the messenger, because who always gets you to shoot the deputy? The sheriff. Because the sheriff will get you to shoot the deputy, because the sheriff is making money off of all this. The sheriff hired the deputy for a reason. It's padding. You know, same way the Zionists hide behind the Jews. So y'all be stupid enough to hate on the Jews and not the particular Zionists, and not even the particular Zionists at the top. There might even be decent Zionists who believe a certain thing, but believe peacefully and not shooting people. You know, they get you attacking white folk and white men. But the reality is always this 1% at the top. You know, because they always get you to shoot the deputy. It's called padding. They put padding between the dummies and them, the ones they're making profit on. And because you fall into the label thing and you shoot the deputy. Shoot the sheriff, shoot the root cause. All right, let me do comments, because I had to rush off of here yesterday, day before. I got a new schedule. I'm trying to make it work. And I'm going to try to see as many comments as I can. So I'm kind of roughing it this morning. I did take a peek at the news like I always try to. But I'm going to go through some comments in case I miss something. This is I think we live in this world where shooting the messenger has become popular because the greedy and the elites have convinced a lot of really stupid people. I'm sorry, I keep going. They convinced a lot of people who don't know how this world works. They don't know how the societies work. They don't know economics, and they have no idea how to do root cause analysis. The TV tells them to shoot the deputy, and they run off and join a political party and start shooting deputies, not sheriff. Let me see. Brother John, good morning. Let me see. Freedom came out with it, and I started out of town. All of a sudden, I saw Sheriff John Brown. Go on, Brother John. John singing this morning, y'all. Yeah, there's so much wisdom in Bob Marley, which is why they had to murder that man with foot cancer. So much wisdom in that man. All right, let me go down. Let me see. Good morning, Victoria. Good morning, Lori. Uh-oh, I didn't bring YouTube. Where's YouTube at? I see YouTube right there. Brother James is in the house. James Logan, family. Always family. I got family. I got close family with the last name Logan. So we related, brother. If we ain't related by the last name, we're definitely related, because there's 7 billion family members all around this planet, and they've been convinced to shoot each other, shoot the deputies and the messenger, not the actual problems. Hold on. Let's see. YouTube up on my little device here so I can see the comments. All right, good. I think they're done. I think it's going to be a quiet morning. I thought it was going to be loud. Having some bushes taken up. I murder some bushes out there. I'm a green plant guy. I like to grow things, but I got some other things I need to plant. I need to get ready for rough times. I need some more berry bushes and raspberry bushes. You know, they got a black, blackberry bush. There was something I saw the other day I wanted to get. I need to put in some more perennials. Because bad times are coming, because people keep shooting the damn deputy, not the sheriff. You understand that analogy? All right, let me see. Good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, Victoria. I am CIA if Assange, just saying. Well, Lori, and that's the point, is that you shoot the messenger. They trick really smart people, really good people to shoot the messenger, take on the deputy. If Julian Assange is CIA, I must be too. I must be. I don't think there's such thing as controlled opposition in a world where everybody is put in opposition against everybody else and everybody's controlled. Good morning, Gail. Good morning, Lori. Yeah, Lori, JFK, he was on it. The brother was on it. He's in the house with us. This is the analogy for this morning. And who's in the house? Are you in the house of like fighting for freedom and justice? Or are you actually out there fighting for the justice system? Because there's no justice in the justice system. I was talking about that this morning. I'm like, does anybody ever get justice? You know how people come out of court like, I got my justice. Can you actually get justice out of a justice system? And most everybody who does the crimes are side effects of the system. Is there any justice in that system? There's no justice in that system. Lavoy Finicom found that out the hard way. Ruby Ridge, they found that out the hard way. Chris Cart found that out the hard way. Khalif Browder found that out the hard way. There's no justice in this system at all. None of it. It's the best that we got. Then we need to all die now. All of us. The whole planet. Flip the poles and let everybody die. Because if you live in a... and I had a post storm yesterday. I reserved my post this morning. I was going to say, if you live in a society that takes millions of children in mass and gives them, what do they call them, plea deals, cop a plea, and you get them to lie on themselves so they don't have to go into slavery for 80 years, but they can go into slavery for only 8 years, and you do that to millions of children in mass. It's not a justice system. That system is so ill, you need to delete the whole thing. That's why I'm a collapser. I believe in the collapse. Let it all collapse. I don't care. Y'all, the way y'all treat children, I know people, their bigotry's kicking in. But they're not children, they're young adults. Young adults. Okay, well, define adult. What is an adult? Is there such thing as are you an adult? Are you an adult human? Or are you a child? I don't think young adult exists. I don't think there's such thing as youth. I don't think there's a pseudo-adult that you can give adult rules to. I don't think that you can do that. I think it's child abuse. I believe things called science. I believe in the frontal lobe. If you don't have a frontal lobe, you're not human. If you can't actually make decisions, you're not human, and you shouldn't be subject to adult human law. Otherwise, that's called adult human privilege, abusing children. No such thing as youth. You either have a fully formed frontal lobe and you're forming decisions, or you don't. And the fact that you can take children at the age of 16, 18, 22, 25, and put them in prison in mass means you are the greatest child abuser on this planet. There's no justice in that. That's all evil. That's all demonic activity, especially if the system is what made those children. The system hated those children and got them into that survival mode, and they began to survive. Because that's all Billy the Kid was, right? He was a survivor. Billy the Kid, although I think he was 18, something like that. He was a survivor. He was born in an injustice system, and the injustice system was probably, I don't know, I think it might have been better back then than what we have now. I think today there's a lot more injustice in the justice system than back then, because back then there was a lot more freedom. So anyway, that was the analogy this morning. We're in the house. You got a lot of people in the house surrounded by your CIA and your FBI and your MI6 and your spin-snots and your paratroopers and all the people who don't seem to get how freedom and liberty works. The people who don't really believe in sovereignty, and your family and friends out there loading the guns for them. You know how crazy that you have to be to actually stand up and say truthful things, and your family is actually going out and buying bullets for the people shooting at you in the house. We're in the house and they're out there buying bullets for people. We must be crazy.
Oh, don't fret, Alex. Trip's postponed. They're coming around the front.
Come around the front.
Bring those wagons up quickly.
In
Get the house
front.
covered.
They got Russia in their court. The central banking got America in their court. Somebody said the New World Order. They got the New World Order. They're rolling out. They got China in their court, and everyone thinks China and Russia and America and that Britain and they're all fighting. And I don't think they're fighting. They got us surrounded. The human race. That's the humans that believe in freedom and sovereignty. Put it down. Good morning.
Hey, Chavez? How is it from the east side?
Murphy, man.
How's it from the east side? Obama's men. How's it from the west side? Trump's men. How's it from the back side? All right, I'm sorry. To me, it's kind of funny. But yeah, Trump's story's not written. That's why you always give Trump a chance. Yeah, I do, because it's not over yet. They're saying that he's playing 3D chess. I personally don't believe it, but you gotta let it play out. Everybody else's story's all written. I'll retract that statement. You don't have Trump in yet, because we have no idea what the guy's up to. But historically, the billionaires have never come to save us. That's just my position. I could be wrong. Actually, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong and all my Trump friends are right. The same way I hoped I was wrong about Obama and all my Obama friends are right. The same way I do. Why? Because we live on this planet. I live in this nation. We live on this land, and you want them to be right, that these men actually mean well and they end up doing more good than harm. Yes, Victoria's talking about Holly Weird. Good morning, and Holly Weird. It breaks people. That's what I told this morning. I said it breaks people. I said, just, I said, try to take it easy on the TV watchers, because they just want to shoot the message. They don't understand about what root cause analysis is, you see. So we aren't talking about daytime soaps on this session. I'm trying not to, Beaufont. I watch the news and I kind of laugh at it. And I think I was thinking about it this morning, Beaufont. It's like, there's an approach to watching the news where you don't take a side, because it's not the news, right? Like even Russia Today is partial. All of it is partial. But there's a way of watching the news where you can kind of know where it's coming from and you know their spin, and you watch it from a very impartial perspective, because there is no news, there is no real journalism. It's all sideism. They all got their sides and their angles, and it's entertainment, and they're trying to form your perceptions, right? Like they don't give you the news, they give you news with sugar, right? They give you the news and they get their little spin on it to get you to hate this or love that, or like, because if you can control somebody's perspective, you can control their reality. And so you kind of almost have to watch the news in a way where you look for like the sellout statements or the guiding statements. You look for the way they're trying to push you. Like a good example was the chemical attacks in, where was that country that we colonized? Syria. The chemical attacks in Syria. So now there are 40 white helmets, because a lot of people actually still think the white helmets are not a terrorist group that we are behind. Look, 40 white helmets have finally come out and said that, yeah, the chemical attacks were faked and we faked them. Why did we fake them? Because they paid us. We were starving. They were going to give us money, so we did it. You can starve people into doing anything you want. And over 400 witnesses, they said, 400 witnesses came forward to say they lied about the chemical attacks, and they staged the whole thing. Victoria with Holly Weird. Holly Weird. It's not news. It's always lying us into the next conflict to go rob and steal from somebody else. And in respect to the justice system, is that I always like to look at the money. You know how the money says, "In God we trust," and we don't trust in God at all. At all. If you have a copying a plea system where you put millions of children into prison if they will lie on themselves, you know how sick that is? And they do it. Why do kids do it? Because they have to. They know their parents don't have the money. They come from impoverished backgrounds. So they decide, do I go in for 8 years or do I go in for 80 years? Do I lie on myself? Which then the scripture says, thou shalt not lie. I kind of think that also means thou shalt not make a justice system that gets children to lie on themselves. I think that equates as well. So anyway. Yeah, Victoria, I like the word controlled opposition. We might just do comments today as we go back and forth between young guys. We're trapped in a house with a bunch of human beings that just want to put love all over the planet. and everybody on the outside surrounding us.
Charlie? How's it over by you? Can we break?
Can we break? Can we get out the house? Can we get freedom? Can we get to a society that's not based in murder, killing humans? What Charlie said.
Hey, Charlie!
Hey, Charlie.
How is it?
How is it?
It's John Kinney.
I think the word you got was just a trap to get us all together in the same place.
I think this whole truth thing was a trap to get us all together in the same place. Good morning, Brother James. What's up? Today's topic, shooting the messenger. Shooting the messenger. I'm curious what y'all think about shooting the messenger. I think we're trapped on a planet in societies and all the mainstream media controlled by, 6 corporations, I think it is. The vast majority of the media is always tricking people into shooting the sheriff, and we don't know how to delineate that. Surrounded in a house, and who do you shoot? Surrounded by all of these criminals, these war criminals. I think you shoot the system. I think that was the whole point of Bob Marley saying he shot the sheriff, not the deputy. He didn't shoot the messenger, he shot the actual problem. And that's something that people fail at. They fail at that critical analysis to look at where the actual problem comes from. I was thinking about it in different contexts, but I was thinking about it in terms of the justice system. And a couple other concepts, but the justice system, in that we blame the kids for what they do, and we allow them to be taken into slavery or shot and murdered in the street, as opposed to blaming the system that systematically requires impoverished people. Like a lot of people don't seem to understand that the laws are written to actually take away your freedoms and give them to corporations to make profitable industries. Illnesses that need to go away, like illness, like breeding a mental illness into our society. And so they want to go with okay, I'm gonna go with another example. The gun control thing, right? Because now that was actually, they were talking about that now because of that whole Trump pulling us out of the UN gun control thing. And I was watching, we could watch it. It actually a brother was talking about the NRA and how the NRA is no longer for, now they say it's for gun nuts. No, it actually isn't. The NRA is just a lobby for the big gun, the big gun companies, selling weapons and arms, that they're not proponents of the Second Amendment at all, an infringement, that they're really just there to sell as many weapons around the world, United States, as possible. But targeting the issue, right? I mean, I've said it many times where I stand on guns. It's not my gun. It's not my gun. I mean, in New York City, they got that car now, Brother James, goes 200 miles an hour. And I'm just like, 200 miles an hour? I'm like, why do you need that in New York City? A car that goes 200 miles, you might kill somebody. You can murder a whole lot of people running a car into a building that goes 200 miles an hour. But it's not me, it's not my car, it's not my house, not my driveway, not my garage. So who am I to tell you what kind of car to have, in your house? And I view guns the same way. Not my house, not my house. It's not my house whether you want an assault rifle, a tank, a drone, some jets. And plus I really don't care anyway, because poor people have done nothing to me. Billionaires have done everything. They've taken all the rights I have and they're right down the street in Washington. They're right down the street at the Pentagon. So I'm not interested in taking poor people's guns. I think you're going to take a gun, you need to take your politicians' military. To make them peaceful, then we can talk about how to make poor people peaceful. But poor people, if you look at the root cause of it, outside of shooting the messenger, you have to look at why they are the way they are. It's because the system makes them that way. When you take away the reason people buy guns, guess what? The people don't buy guns. It actually is really that simple. When you stop shooting the messenger and you shoot the actual sheriff, if you want guns off the street, you need to shoot the war on drugs. You need to shoot your violent government. You need to shoot your Pentagon's ability to go to war. When we start shooting those things, then people stop picking up weapons. It's easy solutions. But we keep shooting the deputy, and that's why they get people to shoot the deputy, because it's a sustainable system. Corporations make big profit. Kings gained a lot more power getting a lot of dumb people shooting the deputy and not the sheriff. So shooting the root cause, that's kind of what we're talking about. Let me see. Yes, the system is the problem. Exactly, Brother Rob. It's the system. And you get people to shoot the system. Shoot the system. Stop shooting the proponents of it. Because the way I look at it, Rob, is if I were higher in the system, I worked in the Pentagon, if I owned a big gun company, if I was born into that family that owned Glock, I'd buy NRA too. I'd go right along with, this is the world I live in, this is the role and avatar I was given, I'd go right along with it. And I'm not gonna sit in judgment of those people. The problem is the system. Get rid of the system and you don't have to worry about the people born into it with more privilege over you. It is that simple. All right, let me go down. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Sharon. We need some aliens before this 5G zaps us. Yeah, Sharon, but I think the aliens have already waded into that fight. They just want to watch. Like, look at the Foo Fighters. They'll come around, they'll watch us. I think we're their entertainment system. Yes, Clemency, it is the injustice system. 100%, there is no justice in it anywhere. They make money on both sides, the victim and creating the criminal. The criminals, people with mental illness and people being starved. Both sides of it, the justice system makes money on. So no, it's not a justice system. From the judges to the lawyers to the politicians, all of them. Maki rarely sees justice. Maki, I don't think I've ever seen justice. I've never seen justice. I mean, even the people who get raped or murdered or killed and they go and they get them in prison, they didn't change anything. Like they put one person in prison and guess what? Where the town that person came from, where they were being starved into violence, there's 30 more rapists and criminals waiting to do their thing, waiting to get laid off from some sort of job that pays pennies, where they can't put bacon on the table. They go crazy, get drunk, do something stupid, where they go rob somebody for money because their kids need shoes, can't go on field trips. You know, starvation, writing legislation and laws to starve people, over-regulating every damn thing, it creates a lot of really moody people. And that's another thing Trump was right on. I have no issue saying Trump was right when he says things that are right. You know, I'm not in the world where billionaires come to save us, but what he said was right. We over-regulation. The regulation has to go. You need to free the people. You need to get rid of all laws and legislation. The vast majority of it is all about keeping you in conflict with other people. It's artificial scarcity laws. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Cyrena. Let me see. How many adults are there? Laura, sorry, I know we're talking about a girl. Good morning, Sharon. Let me see, Brother Bofan, what you got for me? Justice doesn't exist. That is part of the inherent sociopathy and our ability to not vying to grips with reality itself. Well, what is reality? That reality merely exists. That wall it knows how to do. It isn't up to, I think you're saying us, to act like we decide that the existence of a thing is wrong in the face of its mere occurrence in said reality. Bofont, that's a lot to swallow. It's a lot to swallow. But it is reality. I have an issue, Bofont. Let me tell you this. I have an issue with reality. I was watching, have you heard of this guy by the name? What is his name? Hang on. It just made me think of something. Like, what is reality? Because everyone's, I think, has their own reality. That's what I really think. Hang on. His name is Philip K. Dick. Outside of the fact that that's a name, it's that horrible name. But anyway, Philip K. Dick, I was listening to one of his talks, and what he was explaining is that he said we all live in our own realities. He said we all live in our own realities because, like, I mean, he meant it like really, really real, like multi-dimensional, we're the only creatures, the Truman Show, and everybody else here is an actor, or maybe every now and then we interface. But he also meant it biologically, that we live in our own little universe, in our own little head. And our eyes and brains perceive things in the real world. The things that we come in contact with, they determine our reality, like all the perceptions. And so there are a lot of people who live in the reality of CNN. There are a lot of people who live in the reality of Fox. There are a lot of people who live in the reality of nationalism, United States indoctrination, or France, or Britain, or Australia. Like, there are a lot of different realities that people live in. You either live in your own, or you live in those that violate yours to control you. It was like a great discussion to like sovereignty, and he kind of touches on law a little bit, like what is authority? Authority is a person or a thing that can change your reality, right? It has the rights to violate you. It has the ability to abuse you. The strong always violate the sovereignty and reality of the weak. It can come into your space and change your world without your permission. And the brother was deep. I think he was like pretty out to lunch. Well, I don't say that. He was deeper than I can comprehend in some perspectives, but it was powerful what he was saying, that we all live in our own reality, and our societies are based in violating each other, right? Our societies are based in getting together with others to violate the weak, the strong getting together to violate the weak. And I see it from a political perspective. When you get people together and voting, like, to me, there's probably no more violent act in the world than voting in the United States of America. You get more people on your side, and if you get more people on your side, you feel that you're right, because you're surrounded by a whole bunch of other people, and you feel you're correct because thousands of other people agree with you because they have the perceived realities given to them by the television, by billionaires and millionaires that they don't even know. And because they're right, because they're correct, it makes it okay for them to violate other people. It makes them strong. It makes it okay for them to violate other sovereign creatures. And I think that's the world we have to get to, is I think we need to let everybody have their own realities. I might have missed your point there a little, but we need people to have their own realities. I think that's the only way we get out of here. The only way we get out of here is when we finally respect each other's sovereignty. Did you see the girl on Harsh Med who talks about 5G? Was that Sister Lauren? Last Harsh I saw was Lauren. Well, 5G is a monster, and nobody knows what it's for. Nobody knows what they can use. But you know, one thing, Didi, that got me on 5G, I learned recently, is we're going from you think we're going from 4G to 5G. It's like, okay, it's just the next step up. But from a megahertz perspective, that's not really what's happening. We're going from gigahertz, right? 2.5 gigahertz to 60 gigahertz. So they're calling it 5G. Like, that's just the name. It's like 8, Windows 9, Windows X, whatever. But the jump they're making is ignorant, right? The frequency, it's going from 2.4 to 60 in one jump, and they call it 5G, but really it's like 80G. Or I guess in that example, it would be, so if 4G is 2.4 megahertz and 5G is 60, you see where I'm going with that? Is 60, then actually really isn't 5G, it's like 120G. But they don't call it 120G. If they actually called it 120G, how many people would go? Imagine that, Didi, and then Brother Trump comes in and says, yeah, we don't need 120G, we need 700. Gotta beat the Chinese with 700G. And I'm just looking at it, I'm just like, and it's not a good idea. We're in the house and we're surrounded. The humans are in the house, and we got our family out there yelling and screaming with the people shooting at us that, hey, yeah, you need the automatic assault 5G. You don't need the little pea shooters. We need to get you something better. Start rolling out 5G. We're in a mess. God equals money, Lori is saying. Lori, can you expand on that, please, sis? In God, government ordered debt they trust. That is very true. I like that, Brother David. That's right. Government ordered debt. Government ordered debt. God. They trust. And that's it, because everything is a debt-based system. That's what crony capitalism is all about. Just making debt to get more slaves, and people don't seem to get that. The more debt you make, the more you have people who are required to labor for the system. Let me see. When secrets rule, the one who tells gets decimated. Absolutely, Lori. We can't have any more secrets anymore. That's always my mainstay. Take the body cameras off the police, put them on the politicians, and no more secrets. You want to, and everything will fix itself. That's what and you know what? And to be honest with you, we don't even have to take the body cameras off the police and put them on politicians. All we have to do is just say no more secrets. And I guarantee you, The world will right itself in 10 years. You just wait till these people figure out, these gaslit people, indoctrinated people actually figure out what these monsters are really up to. No more secrets. If there are no more secrets and you can go do a quick search of what all your politicians are up to, who they're talking to, who they're taking money from. I think if you're in public service, you definitely shouldn't have any secrets at all. You shouldn't have no CIA, no FBI, no classified, no nothing. Like, you want a really simple solve it all solution, just take all governments and corporations' secrets. Just take it away. Make them all open so they're all required to use open source databases that we can all search so we see what they're all up to. The world will right itself tomorrow because people realize that they're all being played against each other. So yeah, Lori's secrets gotta go. Get rid of secrets. We can have a good time on Earth. Good morning, Abdul. Good morning, Emily. Abdul is saying justice system is 100% cooked up, bro. I'm dealing them 20 long years. Exactly, Abdul. It's all cooked up. It's all cooked up. It's all cooked up. It's all cooked up. It's all. Can't stop saying there's no justice in the justice system. It's all a lie. It's all cooked up. It's all about keeping control of the dumb monkeys. Dumb monkey equals you and me, and that's how it goes. If you don't have $1 billion in the bank, the justice system is waiting to abuse you. And why does it abuse, they say minorities and poor whites more than anybody else? Well, simply because they're on the bottom. That's it. It's just an economic thing. They have less ability to defend themselves in court. And so the police, like I was having a good conversation with my sheriff this morning. I explained once again, good guy, good brother. I make sure everywhere I go, Abdul, the police know me. Everywhere I go, I talk to them because otherwise I'll be abused by them. People tend to abuse you less if they know you, and especially if they like you. Plus, they let you off stuff. That's all important. But the reality is, police get sent to the areas of people who are less likely to defend themselves. They don't go to the trailer park because they hate people in the trailer park. And they don't go to the ghetto because they hate people in the ghetto. And then they very rarely are they in wealthy areas. They go to areas they know they're going to have less problems in the job. And when you have an injustice system running everything, the last place police want to go is a wealthy area. Why? Because the wealthy tend to know the politicians. They tend to have the ability to buy lawyers to beat the justice and possibly even get the police in trouble. And it is that simple. That's why. But people like to shoot the messenger, and I don't get that. They like to constantly go after the police, and this is why we have an injustice system, because what we do isn't just. It isn't just. We don't have any critical thought. It seems to actually be able to determine what a root cause of a problem is. Is Gerard worried we about to shoot him? No, well, fine. No, I'm not really here. I'm not really here. Fear is why we got slavery anyway. Fear is why people are enslaved. I'm not afraid of anything. They come for me any day they want to. Sometimes some people ask me, are you afraid to get out there every day, put yourself out there and talk bad about the government that you... No, I'm not. I don't really care. I've lived a great life. Like, if they want to come for me, they can come for me any day they like. I don't think they will. I don't think I'm like prominent. They're going to come for somebody, they're going to go for Cynthia McKinney, but they chased her out the country, right? They come, and she understood they were coming for her. She left the country. They're going to come for somebody, they're going to go for Martin Luther King. I don't think they go for peons like me, but if they want to, they can. And that's the great thing about having love in your heart. That's the great thing of understanding about how human farming works, is you develop fear, right? It's like cattle and horses, right? Once you develop fear in your livestock, then you can make them work for you. Once you develop fear in the workhorse, then you can make it walk. Once you can trick them into going for carrots, then you can hang a carrot in front of their face and put blinders, and you can make a slave out of them. And I'm not a slave. Not a slave. I don't think anybody here is shooting. I might get some psychopaths. But that's okay. That's, that we're not here to preserve life. Like, there's a scripture, there's a scripture. Well, how's the scripture go? It says, and scripture is everybody's world history, all right? Where everybody's world heritage. Everybody's related to that. There's no religion that owns scripture. I like scripture because there's a lot of truth in it. It says something to the effect of those who try to save their life will lose it, and those who are willing to lose their life will have everlasting life, something like that. I'm not going to convince you I know what that means. Other people will tell you they know what it means. I look at that in the context of this discussion, that if you're fearful, you're already dead. Right? If you have fear, something already controls you. You're not living an authentic you. They already got you. If you're living free, if you don't have fear, they can kill your body, but you live on beyond that. most religions, they believe that we come back as something else. And science says that you can't destroy energy. Energy is just transferred. So life goes on no matter how you look at it. I think if you're fearful of things, you're useless to the human race. You're useless to your family. You're useless to your neighbors. You're useless to everything. So I don't have any fear. If you're fearful of things, they can make you a coward and go after the police. They can make you a coward and blame the military, the peons, the people on the bottom of the rung, the people being played by the system just like you are. If you don't have any fear, then you can talk about the politicians. You got to get cussed at a lot. You got to get cussed at a lot. I was thinking about that the other day. I was driving home. I was sitting there thinking, man, I wonder if the next generation realized how much I'm getting cussed out for this. Every day I go out there and put myself on the line, try to talk bad about all the different troops and tribes and teams that are fighting for the billionaires, that fighting for the elite system, shooting some messengers, shooting the deputies, and getting cussed out every single day, all day long. They just get mad at your friends and your family. They just mad because they just want you to sell out with them. They want you to go back. They want you to go be a coward and go fight low people on the totem pole. Go fight poor whites. Go fight poor blacks. And I don't have time for that. I go fight the poor in Yemen. Go fight the poor in Palestine. And I'm just like, I'm not interested in that. I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of them. I'm here to do one thing. I don't know what put me here, what kind of spiritual energy, soul, God, Allah, Buddha, people say all kind of things, aliens, I don't know. But while I'm here, while I got breath in my chest, I'm always gonna do what's right. I'm gonna do what I think is right. I'm gonna say what I think is right. And when we get to times like now, when we're being lied to by all sides, all groups are bigoted and we're turning against each other, I'm gonna get as many friends as I can who come from all of those groups so we can have conversations and discussions about what reality is. Instead of the bigoted realities we're given at birth, the ethnicities and races and nations and religions and the things that just completely aren't true and very, very one-sided. All right, let me see. When you throw research out the door and you're a research company, we are screwed. Yeah, and that's what they do, dude. You're talking about like censorship and social media and, even science, like even a lot of the research companies, right? Once you add money to the system, then eventually you're going to throw the research out. Eventually you'll throw the facts out, and then it all becomes about money, especially if a business has to beat the other business to survive. And that's what's wrong with like the pharmaceutical industry. Because they got to survive. So this company, while they may have started helping people, healing or whatever, eventually they have to compete with the other corporation. They have to sell out. The bottom line has to be the bottom line. And it's not about facts and research. It's the same thing wrong with the pharmaceutical company. It's the same thing wrong with your neighbor. Same thing wrong with me. Same thing wrong with everybody else. Is we're all a bunch of rats on a sinking ship and everybody's trying to get higher. And the more you step on the face of the poor rats, the further you push them under the water so you can climb higher out the water, the better you do. And so it's the system that we need to shoot, like Brother Rob is saying right there. It's the system. Like I said 10 times before in that interview, they asked Bob Marley, said, who did this to your people? And people were not listening. They said, Bob, who did this to your people? Did white people do this to your people? Did black people do this to your people, Bob? Who did this to your people? Because Bob was interracial, if you didn't know. He said the system did this to my people. He didn't say that sellout crap that they say in Washington, your leaders. He said the true deal, and that's why they killed him. He saw through the matrix. He actually saw the problem. It's the system that pits people against each other. Let me see, but you are talking the system, all those things, Pentagon, Trump, CIA, Bernie, FBI are merely shadows. The system are your owners. Absolutely, Bernie, absolutely. I mean, not Bernie, both fine. But so the only thing I'll add to that is Trump is a person and Bernie is a person and the Pentagon is a system. Right, the CIA is a system, the FBI. But there's a greater system that run them all. I know what you're saying, but In terms of me like judging Trump, I don't do that. I don't judge Bernie. I'm not judging Obama. I think that there are cogs and puppets in a system that will murder them. And there's probably like a lower level, the CIA and the FBI and the Pentagon, and they'll murder the Bernies and the Trumps and the JFKs if they don't behave, if they don't have the foul behavior that's required by the greater system. So it's the system, it's the high up system, right? You take out the CIA, nothing really will change. You take out the FBI, nothing really will change. But if you take out the system, whatever runs above that take these organizations that are full of human beings who just want to do good, right? I mean, they're full of people who actually want to save people. That's what police are, and the military and CIA and FBI. And most of the people in those systems, they just want to be heroes. They just want to do good things, and they want people to clap for them. They want to like help out the world. But the system that runs the managers, the VPs, the people who actually call the shots at the top of those things are required or demonic enough that they refuse to let the system be about saving people. It's about murdering people and stealing from them. So fight the system. Somebody's going to show you something while I go talk to this brother real quick. I wanted to show this brother talking about the NRA real quick. Right here. I'll be right.
One of the country's most powerful lobby is facing an investigation by the New York Attorney General. Now, the probe is going to look at potential financial and disclosure problems at the National Rifle Association. It comes at a time when NRA President Oliver North was just removed from his position. Now, the gun lobbying group says it will cooperate with the AG's investigation, but the turmoil added with news of financial troubles for the NRA has some asking if this is the beginning of the end of the group. For the 360 View, we turn to our political panel, civil rights attorney Robert Patillo and Republican strategist Chris Naim, and here live in studio makes it even better. This is a gun-free zone, but it is definitely a passion-full zone. So I know both of you come ready to spar. I've got to start with you, Robert. President Trump says the NRA is under siege right now by Governor Cuomo in the state of G. Cuomo has said, I want to quote this, get this right, the scourge of gun violence is a national crisis plaguing our country and killing our children. It demands action. But does this kind of action actually make you think of going after organizations' tax-exempt status as action that's going to take guns off the streets? Or is it more just to take political power from away from a very influential organization?
Well, if the NRA was actually a lobbyist for gun owners, then that would be the case. Right. I used to be an NRA member. I left the organization.
As a Democrat?
Yeah, because I'm a Southerner, just like you're a Southerner. We're gun owners down there. We depend on self-reliance.
Harry Reid was a member of the NRA, too, so yeah, he's not a Southerner. He's a Western. I think it's across the country.
Yeah, we're hunters, right. We're fishers. We believe in self-determination. If it takes the cops 3 hours to get to your trailer in the middle of Waverly Hall, Georgia, where I'm from, then guess what? You need a gun. You can't really depend on someone in Manhattan would depend on. The problem is the NRA became a lobbyist for the gun production industry. They no longer represented the needs of gun owners. They only lobbied for the interest of Glock, for the interest of Smith & Wesson. And because of that, we do need to look at their finances. We do need to look at their political contributions. And the turmoil at the conference this week with Oliver North and LaPierre just further shows that the organization has strayed from their actual values and only seek to ensure profits for gun companies, not the rights of gun owners.
You know, I hear a lot of that argument coming from actual conservatives, Republicans, people that belong to other types of gun organizations. So, Chris, it was just announced that a female, Carolyn Meadows, will replace Oliver North as the next president of the NRA. She's also second vice president, though, of the American Conservative Union. So does this not make it harder for the NRA to say that they are nonpartisan when they have somebody that's so outright as president coming directly from a politically charged organization?
I think most people with that level of experience are going to have some sort of political background, so I don't think you can fully avoid that. So I don't think that that's going to be a problem.
Not some kind. She's sitting second vice president. I mean, she's still active.
She has a lot of experience. I think that they want someone with experience, and I would agree with Robert, but I just want to make one distinction that most of those organizations work on the issues that are getting the most attention. So we're not getting rights taken away in those particular areas of the organization's mission. But when you look at some of these horrible mass shootings, oftentimes it's been, for example, Parkland, Democrat policies that have failed to stop those types of shootings, but the NRA seems to always be the visual for those problems. So whether it's alcohol or firearms, we're looking at the production of a tool when it's really human beliefs which lead to these types of incidents, in my perspective.
Okay, so you look at that. So I have to ask then, I'm going to ask you, so that is it the organization, as Robert puts out, that has caused the demise, or is the overall issue the Second Amendment? Has it changed from when the original amendments to the Constitution was written? Are we in a different place in society today, so therefore it's not necessarily the NRA, but it's the issue that has changed?
I think that the circumstances surrounding society have changed, and I think that we need to continue to look at that. I mean, that's what legislatures are for. And I think that if you look at the policies that have been successful, I mean, it's big government has failed to do some of those things. But and look, every organization struggles with personnel issues. It happens. Changes are made. That's just the way it's going to do. But my problem with some of the Democrats is they want to literally give away a constitutional freedom. When you do that, you often don't get it back. And if people don't think that what happened in Tiananmen Square, China, couldn't happen here in the U.S., they got another thing coming because it could. That's why I don't support assault weapons bans.
Well, we do stories all the time of governments going corrupt on its people. We would never want that here. But that being said, if the NRA is taken away, if the NRA demise, and we never hear those three letters again except in the history books, does that mean that the government's going to have free access to everybody's guns and that we lose our Second Amendment rights?
Absolutely not. We have constitutional rights that have been enshrined in this country for 250 years. If the NRA goes away, guess who gets hurt? The gun manufacturers, not the gun owners. I'm a member of the National African American Gun Owners Association, NAG. I'm a member of the Black Gun Owners Association. There are various groups out here who are fighting for the Second Amendment of rights of every American. And I would note the NRA was completely absent when Philando Castile, a legal gun owner, was gunned down by the police. There's no larger government overreach than the officers acting under color of law, murdering a legal gun owner, exercising his Second Amendment rights under the justification that he just had a gun. That's where the NRA is supposed to step in. If they represented gun owners, they will represent that, not just the profits of Glock, which is the only thing they represent now. And that's why they went bankrupt, not because of government overreach, not because of liberals, but because of their failures to represent the needs of gun owners.
Somewhere around this world, somebody just gave you a standing ovation for that sermon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Scotty.
Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this.
All the time. All right, do the last couple of comments and we'll get out of here. I thought it was a good discussion. I thought he kind of laid it out well. It's like there's, people are from all different types and places. And sometimes like people get lost in their bigotry and they think, oh, gun owners are this or that or the other. But no matter what the group is, they all get co-opted, and the NRA is co-opted, right? They work for a big gun lobby, and they're not interested in small-time gun owners. They want to make a whole lot of money. Let me see. Had a border inspection a few minutes ago, and was mouthy AF. I blame you. No, Patricia, listen, you don't blame me. I've told people, always listen to the person with the gun. Always listen to the person with the gun. Always listen to, I tell everybody, listen to the people with the gun. Never blame the messenger. Don't get mouthy with the messengers. The messengers are trained how to use their guns, and you don't want that train to kick in. So you go across the border, you act like you got some sense. All right, let me see. They need a tower every 500 yards for 5G. Right, Jeannie, and this is why 5G is not something to play with. It is not something to play with. It is not something to play with. 5G must not harm the elites. Or no, Mary, I think what they'll do is 5G will just roll out to the poor communities first, perhaps. Historically, they always like to test on us first, and depending on how bad it affects us, it'll go there or not. But the other thing is they can just tune it for certain areas. Like 5G, because of the way it's set up, they can actually just crank up the power in the poor neighborhoods, and people act up, and crank down the power in the wealthy neighborhoods. The people who are actually allocating money for the politicians, right? So it doesn't have to be a setup where it's across the board anything. Like the firefighters, I think the firefighters who were complaining about 5G, they were saying that they would go up on the towers and they would do the installation, but when they cranked the power up, that they were having like problems, headaches and migraines, stuff like that. All right. The system is controlled by Zionists. I don't think so, Clemencia. I have to be honest with you. I think there's something higher above that. I think that we never really know. what's at the top of any of this nonsense. I think that they're being used, I think to a degree, the cogs of the system. Like, the way my mind works is, if we take out the system and change the system that's based in power and authority over people, then we don't have to worry about designs. Right? We don't have to worry about any of the governments or any of the political groups or even our neighbor. Like, if we take out the system that doesn't allow human beings to have sovereignty and to be free and to live out their own life in peace and freedom as long as they don't hurt anybody else, if we take that out, because I think if we take out Zionism, something else will replace it. You know what I mean? So I do my best. I try to get down to the root. And I don't think we'll ever get to the root, but I think we've gotten close enough, like with the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and central banking and Zionism and how it controls the whole United States of America, that we need to flip the system so there can't be another. We need to flip the system so people have sovereignty, not groups of people, not nations, not corporations, but people, and you can't violate anybody's sovereignty. And I think that fixes everything. Between that and no secrecy, everything stays fixed. A coward dies 1,000 deaths. A brave man dies but once. Yeah, because a coward's never really alive, Rebecca, isn't that right? Cowards they're not really alive. They're living somebody else's life, and they die 1,000 deaths. But a brave person only dies once. For the right things. Usually not for themselves. I think about heroes, Rebecca. What is a hero? A hero is somebody who stands up for the weak, stands up for somebody who's voiceless. Like, isn't that like the job of the strong, is to always defend the weak? And somehow they've made it okay that the strong now goes after the weak and preys on them, that we've turned back evolution, that the strong has become the coward that preys on the weak, as opposed to the other way around. All right, let me see. How about we not have a civil war and just go for the rich instead? Well, you know what? Well, Robert, and of course, I'm not for a civil war, and I'm not actually for pilfering the rich, because I don't want anything the rich has. Like, I don't want their bank accounts, I don't want their cars, I don't want their house, I don't want any of that. How about we just make a system so that everybody has what they need, so we don't manufacture mental illness? How about we make a system, like, I'm fine with people wanting to be rich. They can want to have all they want. Some people need that to feel good about themselves. It might be a thing of insecurity, might be a thing of fear, but when you have a system where people die because the rich exist, when you have a system that allows for other people to die because they lack, where they can't live a free life because they lack the power of the wealthy, then that's the problem that I have. Let me see, missing Daniel today. Daniel was here earlier, Lori. He disappeared. We need to regulate the big corporations and the government. Right now, they are regulating against us. Absolutely. And they're in bed. They're 100% in bed. The corporations and the government are 100% in bed, Clemency. 100%, Clemency. This is why we're an oligarchy. We were a corporatocracy, but we're now an oligarchy. Corporations and government are the same thing. There is no division. They are the same thing. If it's profitable, it's going to get done. 100%, absolutely. But I don't think corporations and government should exist. The way my mind is working now is, I think it's so far beyond regulation. Like, I think if you're bad, you should be regulated. I think if you murder 85,000 children in Yemen, you need to go away. And I think governing is a failed experiment. And I think corporations, massive corporations, are a failed experiment. I don't think that there should be a corporation with more than 500 employees. At that point, you're too powerful. You can destroy too much. And we were talking about negative externalities yesterday. Like, what is a negative externality? A negative externality is an indicator that shows that corporations waste, shows that none of them are profitable. None of the big corporations are profitable. So they're completely unsustainable entities that are polluting and destroying the world and ecosystems, and they buy the government to regulate and make laws that allow them to do it. Like, so the only way big corporations are sustainable, because they're unsustainable at the base of it because they're unprofitable, is buying legislation so that it's okay that they be unprofitable and they destroy people and ecosystems. This is across all industries, you know, so they're unsustainable entities. And so, like, the way my mind works when it comes to that is there shouldn't be a corporation. They need to go away. They're unsustainable. And everything unsustainable is a problem. And that's all industries, from banking to pharmaceuticals to chemical companies to fast food companies to, I mean, you think about the negative externalities of fast food and healthcare costs, like, you know, and death. Like, you think about how all of that works together. So I think they all need to go away. Yes, they are spin masters, Lori. Peacemongers are the ones that are silenced. Right, yeah, exactly, Victoria. You start talking peace, you're the enemy of people who we are supposed to say are smart people and people who get it. Persons are the system, no people, no system. Thank you. I like how you said that. I'm gonna have to quote that. I like how you said that. Persons are the system, no people, no system. You know, we hold the system up. It's fantasy. Like, I was in a discussion the other day, Rebecca. And this is a brother who's pro-Civil War, pro-revolution. I'm just saying, but you know, the system's fantasy. If there is no system, if people don't believe in it, then it literally disappears. It dissipates. It just, it's like evaporates. It's like turning the heat up on boiling water. You turn the heat up, it just completely evaporates. So we don't have to fight the system. All we got to do is walk away from it. Oh man, the practice of non-judgment is the most freeing practice I've ever. Yeah, oh, Jeannie, I missed the bottom of it. Absolutely, Jeannie. And that's the thing, is that when it's freeing. Isn't it freeing when you don't have a team? That's why I love it, Jeannie. I ain't going back. They try to pull me back all the time. Come on, you're with us. No, I'm not with you. I don't. You're bad people. I don't believe in ganging up and creating bigger groups of people to force other people to be like us. No. I love it. When you just don't judge people, you just sit back and you just let everybody do them. The world is better when you just let everybody do them. I'm not going back to join anybody's team. Good morning, Blair. Let me see. Isn't it weird how we pay to be propagandized? Gives us the illusion that the info we are getting is correct. Yes. And that's why it's a system. It's like a circulating system, Victoria. People actually pay for what enslaves them. And then they teach their children to buy into what enslaves them as well. And they work for what enslaves them. They cheer what enslaves them. And it's insanity. Like, even today, you got people cheering for the system to investigate Trump, and it's like they're all part of the same system. Why would you waste your time? The whole thing just needs to go. I guess the homeless in LA may be spared. Oh, what happened with that, Mary? That was where you're talking about the robots. They were sending out the robots to chase the homeless off the street. I thought that got canceled. Let me see. Yes, I saw the same info and articles about the firefighters and the workers who work on the towers too. First saw it circa 2017. And people don't know that, Amy. They don't know. They don't actually know that the firefighters are complaining of headaches and problems working, installing these towers. Yeah, we have to post it. But then, of course, it gets delisted and, it doesn't show up at the top of searches. Why? Because the media, including social media, is a part of the same system. And anything that attacks the system, like social media, wants 5G. Why? Because they use 5G and they're part of the same system. But on top of that, government controls all social media in whatever country you live in. Thank you, Shiva, for posting the Speak Easy. Shotkey Speak Easy. Flipping the pyramid, a humongous task. Flipping the pyramid, a humongous task. If you're talking about the real pyramids, it was very easy because when the pole shifts, the pyramids get destroyed. That's why we have destroyed pyramids. Makes sense now that CIA declassified that document and how you have destroyed pyramids in Egypt. If you're talking about flipping the Ponzi pyramid of central banking and all of our evil friends working for big corporations and going to school and getting college degrees, I think it's not a humongous task. I think it's just telling the truth. I actually think it's that easy, Lori. I think when you tell people at the core of it, I think most people are good people. And if you tell the truth, eventually they see it. They may not like what you say first, you get cussed out. That's how I ended my day yesterday. I was like, let me see, is there anybody I didn't offend yet? Is there any groups I didn't offend yet? Their hypocrisy. You get cussed out a lot, but after a while, people start to see it and they start to get it. And I think so I think flipping the Ponzi scheme of central banking and allied currency and monetary system, I think it's very easy. It's just a matter of telling the truth that the system is based in murder, robbing, thieving, stealing, and all the evil things that we need to go away. The system is based in manufacturing mental illness in children. The system is based in putting children in cages. The system is based in taking away other people's rights, and so they become America, the most stressed country in the world. Transference of negative energy. Good morning, Amy. Good morning. I'm trying to get down to some comments and we're gonna get out of here. It's manufacturing, exploiting vulnerabilities. Right, they take the vulnerable, Amy, they take the vulnerable and they exploit the weak. And that's why I don't let people post like they're good people. Well, no. I don't let people post like they're supporting good people. You know, I don't let the Bernies and I don't let the Trumps and I don't let the Obamas and I don't let the, like, if you get that your person's just a psychopath and you think they're fighting for you, then that's one thing. But I don't let people post like it's a good thing to ever destroy children and manufacture death and destruction. That's never a good thing. It doesn't make somebody good. I get that that's just what you believe in temporarily, but I'll do my best to hopefully post something that gets you to reconsider the idea of supporting destruction. Eating McDonald's right now. Patricia, stop eating McDonald's. Everybody tell Patricia, stop. Cut it out, Patricia. You're driving up healthcare costs. Stop eating McDonald's. There are other people who need help. You're not one of them. You know how to grow food. Grow food, eat real food. Don't eat that crap. Need that link about the white helmets fessing up, please. Okay, we'll do. Oh, you know what? You want to watch it? I got time. I got time. We can watch it real quick. Watch it real quick. Get out of here. Believering. Hanging out at the ending music. People are. That's why you can't drop out too soon. You never know what might happen. I forgot that actually was important. About the white helmets.
Tonight, the argument presented to us by our government about the reason we're in Syria has come into question with a report about a bloody attack that may have killed 1,600 civilians. 1,600 civilians. Two independent agencies, Air Wars and Amnesty International, are now confirming the nature of an attack led by the U.S. coalition. And this is not pretty. Now, the reason the report seems highly, highly credible is due to the fact that they interviewed as many as 400 witnesses who came forward and were willing to be interviewed and described what is starting to look like a massacre. This happened back in 2017, never properly reported by the West. In fact, the Pentagon has continued to this day to downplay the damage from their attack, saying that maybe somewhere between 160 and 200 people may have been killed. This report arrives as new questions are being raised now about the infamous White Helmet Brigade in Syria that have been billed as heroic and neutral rescue workers. And the question, of course, begs, are they? Here to separate fact from fiction is our crack correspondent, Michelle Greenstein, who's been working on this story for us. What are you finding out? We've got two stories here, really. The incident, which is really jaw-dropping, and the fact that we're now learning some things about this the White Helmet group, right?
Right. So the big picture, I think, is that while we love to say this is a humanitarian intervention, that the U.S. is involved because it wants to protect civilians, the real goal is, of course, to overthrow the government of Syria. And in doing so, they will partner with outfits like the White Helmets with terrorist ties and also let civilians die along the way. And it's actually notable that Amnesty, of all organizations, is even coming forward to say this because in the past they've gone along with regime change propaganda.
Yeah, and 400 witnesses is a lot of people.
Exactly, and they launched a huge investigation. So they have a stake to bear here. The fiction when it comes to the White Helmets is that these are impartial rescue workers, that they are heroes who just removed children from rubble. This fiction is seen in the Netflix documentary that won them an Oscar. This is a group heralded by the State Department and is a huge source for Western corporate media reports about Syria. In fact, they were one of the first sources to blame the Syrian government for the chemical attacks. But guess what? At least 40 former White Helmets members actually admit to staging chemical attacks in Syria. Now, there have been questions about the White Helmets before, their links to terrorist organizations like al-Nusra and al-Qaeda, the allegations of them doctoring footage, using children as props, and being involved in the summary executions of civilians. There's, of course, the allegations that they were funded by a UK military officer, so not just founded by the West, but also continues to be funded by the West, where the U.S. Agency for International Development has given them at least $32 million. But today, a group called the Foundation for the Study of Democracy confirmed some of these suspicions in one of their press conferences just this morning. They interviewed over 40 former White Helmets employees, as well as the residents from the areas that the White Helmets used to operate. Some of these employees said that they saw the White Helmets stage attacks with their very own eyes. So these are not volunteers. These are not rescue workers, right? These are employees with monthly pay, and they also received aid. And a lot of the time that included food. So a lot of these members say that they only joined because it was the only way for them to avoid starvation for their families. And a lot of former employees also say that those who did work for free, those who were volunteers, left after they were forced to take part in some of these staged incidents like shootings. So this is not a group of volunteers, right? In fact, one victim said that he was thrown in jail for refusing to work with the White Helmets. The commanders would often threaten to kill those who refused to execute these tasks. And the one employee, actually, I think is really interesting. He went on a mission to rescue some civilians, including his father, and he was threatened when he came back by his commander with physical punishment for going without orders.
The most important question in all of...
So I'm gonna stop. So pretty much the bottom line there is it's not too late, Christine. That's what you said. Finally, they get it. It's a bit too late. It's never too late to report a crime. It's never too late to report a war crime. It could be too late for people whose lives were lost, but it's important to promote it. So I'll post the link. Appreciate you guys sharing. It's never too late to look and expose. Like, this is where we go back to people who were saying the White Helmets are helping. The White Helmets were saving lives. The White Helmets were good people. To really talk about truthful things, which is they were propagandized, they were lied to, and a lot of them were forced to by the same people who, our government, who went in their country and murdered thousands, tens of thousands of people and put women and children in cages on buildings being bombed, right? That's a crime. It's never too late to go back in history and let the ghosts that were lost come back and let their story be told. This is where we wake some people up. Not everybody will get it, you know, but this is where you wake people some up that, or that's the wake people some up. I need more coffee. You wake some people up because they really, some people don't know. There's some who still, because remember, I mean, the news changes their perception, and perception drives reality. And now that they can get a cog in there, it's like sabotage. Like you're taking a piece of information and you're sticking it in the machine. That's how you rage against the machine. You're taking a piece of wood, a piece of metal, this news reporting, you're sticking it in one of your friends' the wheels that are turning, and the machine boom, blows up. Sabotage of the truth. You sabotage their false realities. Now, of course, when you do it, you get cussed out. You get cussed out, but you allow people to speak from the grave. And that's the reality of this. And that is the thing, is that it speaks truth to the power of the fact that we are lied into every single war we've ever been in. Our government has never told the truth about a conflict to go murder women, children, old people, and youth. They've lied us into every single war because we believe it. And I think when you post things like this, there are some people who actually have warm blood in their heart, and they say, you know what, I'm done. I finally get it. I finally get it. I'm done with these Democrats, Republicans. I'm done with nationalism. I'm done with war. I'm done with tribalism. I'm done with joining up with other people to create a strong group to go beat weak group, because I realize that every time we've done that throughout the history of the human race, it's always been turned and used against not only the weakest on the planet to rob them and kill them, but then it turns around and it's used against strong group. You know, when you live on an earth where the model is conflict, your goal is to undo the model of conflict. Let's see the rest of it. Get out of here.
Well, this to me, or to anybody looking at this from the outside, would be impartiality.
Right.
Because if they are impartial, they can make mistakes. But what you seem to be saying in your report is that that impartiality argument is not holding
Right,
water.
and all you have to do is look at their funding. Not only is it over $30 million from the U.S. government, we also have money from the UK Foreign Office and other entities like the government of Qatar who would love to see the Syrian government fall. Today, RT actually asked the director for the Foundation for the Study of Democracy what he think will happen, because now all this information's out there. What does that mean for the White Helmet? So let's take a listen.
Okay.
You know, I think what will happen is what usually happens. The first step is when Western countries and the Western media try to ignore this information, but we probably have already passed that step. Now, we found that the representatives of the Western countries try by one method or another to resist this information and make statements about how they don't consider the White Helmets to be an organization connected to terrorists. But it's not true. And what is interesting is that they don't present any arguments. They, as a rule, use formulas that no, there are no doubts that this is a humanitarian organization that is not connected with terrorists.
Humanitarian organization or organization with ties to the West who's basically trying to get rid of the Assad regime?
I mean, the best mask that you could put on like a military outfit is that of humanitarian aid. That's something that no one wants to argue against, right? What are you, anti-humanitarianism? So it's a very interesting strategy.
That's a good report. Thank you so much.
Along with the strategy of saying children, we're going to save the children. We're going to go save the children by bombing thousands of children. We're going to go save the children. We're going to save 5 children by bombing 5,000 children and burying them under rubble. So I got to get out of here, but I'm going to end on this. Clemencia has said something. I appreciate it. Always appreciate you, sis. We need to take practical steps instead of just blaming the system, which has no face to you. Right? The system doesn't have a face. The system doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a target. And this is where spirituality kind of comes in. It's difficult. It's difficult, I think, for a lot of people to grasp, but it's about walking away. We don't need to see the face of a system. We need to just walk away from it. Right? We don't need to know who's at the top. We don't need to know what they look like. We don't need to know their mama. We don't need to know their name. We don't need to know their race. We don't need to know the country they're in. We don't need to know where their bank account is. We just walk away. And so it's more of a spiritual thing. I think it's more of a, how do you defeat an unseen enemy? You know, you defeat its trace. You know, the enemy needs money. It needs the banking system. It needs big corporations we work for. It needs us to have big bank accounts with a lot of money. It needs us to raise our kids to be slaves. It needs us to vote. It needs us to do these things, right? Because, you know, like the definition of insanity, like people are always yelling at me from saying, don't vote. That's not a thing. That's walking away. That's doing nothing. I said, no, voting is doing something. That's how we got here. We got here voting. And so I tell people, don't vote. But there's a difference between not voting because you're lazy, you don't want to get up in the morning, you just want to lay in bed and watch Transformers or something, and not voting as a protest. That's doing a thing. My ancestors didn't die for me to vote. My ancestors died for me to be able to make a difference. And when you realize voting makes no difference, that we keep going down psychopathic route, no matter who you vote for, we do the same things, it gets worse and worse and worse. And I'm done with voting. And so, like, taking those practical steps. But everybody's got to decide what's practical for them. Like, a good example also would be Edward Snowden. He took a very practical step. Julian Assange took a very practical step. There are a lot of people in these deep state organizations, and most of them are human beings. They know they're wrong, and they know that things need to change. They can release documents. They can release information. They can bring about the information and the transparency needed to wake things. So everyone's got to kind of figure out what their practical steps are, but I think that's the hardest thing, is because we think in terms of get together as a group and do something, and I think that's where we always fail, right? Because when we get together as a group, you have to have somebody at the top of that group. You have to have a leader, and when you have a leader, that group, once they have the power, the psychopathy always kicks in, and they almost always sell us out in the end. They always take that power to abuse somebody else with that power. I think it's sovereignty. I think it's like Rebecca was saying, you know, once we walk away, the system collapses. It's not a system. It's only a system while we're a part of it. And how do we? Well, we know how to walk away. We don't work for them, don't buy from them, you know, grow your own food, try to live healthy as much as possible. walking away from it as much as possible, and it begins to collapse. The system requires growth, which is why they're invading and destroying so many nations, and they're colonizing, because they have to continue to grow. I think somebody said once it's like a 5% growth thing. They have to constantly grow. And when we deny them that, when we stop upgrading cell phones and buying new cars and buying unsustainable houses, the system has trouble, and it will collapse in some. But it's just a system. We just gotta walk away. And the only way you do it is you do it in your personal life, and you continue to post the truth. I know you post truth all the time. I see your page. I go to somebody else's page, and I can only go down 3 posts. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much stuff, and I feel like I'm crazy. I'm like posting stuff by the same person, but you just post the truth. You stand on what's true. Don't choose a team. The only team that you choose is what's right, what is correct, and continue to evolve your mind. And I think that's the only way that we get there. When we force other people, when we get together in groups and utilize the force of multiples to force and violate somebody else's sovereignty, then that's a problem. But when you have the majority of the human race that's actually processing that this can't continue, and they're walking away from it and respecting each other's sovereignty. Somebody said natural, that was another natural rights, natural law, and 10 Commandments, all that great stuff. About 3 that you really need. Leaving everybody alone. The system falls on its own. There's nothing we have to do. The system will not collapse if we walk away. They've created a society that needs them to survive. Unless we change the way society is working, people can't survive without supporting the system. We have to do a 180 on the system. We have to be responsible for what we allowed to happen. We have to change it. Second Amendment is the only way we can do that. Well, you know me, Brother John. Plato agrees with you in terms of revolution being the only way to take out an hierarchy. I disagree. I think we've learned more. I think in his day, that's how it worked. I think in our day, it's different. And the system's already collapsing. This is why they're censoring. Like, look at the system. Look at the side effect, not the side effects. Look at the look at their desperation. Look at what they're doing. Look at 5G. Look at how they're taking adults and making them emotional monsters. Look at their desperation in the mainstream media. They're desperate. Something's changing. But the system was always designed to collapse. It wasn't designed to be permanent. It was designed to just work long enough until they didn't need human labor anymore. Then they had robots and automation. That's kind of where we're going right now. So the system's already collapsing. I just say we kind of nudge it and let it collapse faster than what they're planning, faster than what they allow, faster than what they get ready for. But they're acting desperate. As long as your enemy is acting desperate, your enemy makes mistakes. As long as your enemy is running and fighting within itself, you can actually exploit it. So I think we walk away and we help it collapse. That's kind of what I think. Anyway, this is Gerard. I gotta get you out of here. Y'all have a great day. Love y'all to death. I'm out. Bye-bye.